A couple months ago, me and a buddy watched the Saiki movie, and it sure was something, and that encouraged me to binge the entire anime. It's more of a refresh since I'm somewhat familiar with what's going on. If you aren't somehow, Saiki is a comedy about a guy with a laundry list of overpowered abilities, including but not limited to telepathy, telekinesis, and whatnot, just trying to live a normal life as a high school student. The school in question having uniforms visually striking enough that some people across the pond shamelessly stole their designs for their death game. While in high school, Saiki tries his best to keep to himself, but somehow becomes a magnet for a whole host of strange people at his school. Honestly, it's not just his classmates, most of the people in his life are quite strange. But for the video's sake, let's just do a quick shakedown of his classmates. Nendo, I honestly feel sorry for. So, as part of his telepathy skill, Saiki can read the minds of anyone within a 200-meter radius, unwillingly I might add, but he can't read Nendo's. There really is nothing there. Imagining an all-consuming black void counts as something, so he really means it when there's nothing there. Even when he's not the focus of an episode, he still manages to catch more strays than the average Chicago resident. Teruhashi is the perfect popular girl that turns all the heads. She has a Walter White-sized ego that frequently gets checked by Saiki, yet she still has the gall to chase after him.
Don't care.
Only in anime do the popular girls go after the nerdy kids. Why the what? She has an aura. Oh my god, she has aura. I had a friend who described her as a
I think she's like a hoe, bro. She's like so entitled. She pisses me off, bro. No, she's a demon, bro. She's a demon. Tsuruhashi's a YN, bro.
He would later retract this statement, saying he wasn't familiar with her game. Now, it honestly feels like a cliche to say, considering all of the white women edits all over YouTube, but Kaido is my favorite character. His whole shtick is that he might definitely have schizophrenia. He's dedicated to defeating the supposed evil secret society, the Dark Reunion. All of the world's evils, disasters, and injustices are all the work of the Dark Reunion. Now, of all the people at the front lines defending the world from this Dark Reunion, we get him! He even has his own theme song. That's not fair! Well, granted, it is a banger, so I retract my statement. There's so many more in this colorful cast of characters. There's Kuboyasu, who my friend also describes as a YN crash-out king. He's also one of my favorite characters too. Hiro is the OTT athletic character. Reita is a pervy spirit medium that also gets bullied just as much as Nendo, who also jump-scared me when I heard him sing. At its core, if you take away Kusuo, that's Saiki Kusuo's powers, this show's about a hardcore introvert who just can't stand other people. People may call that antisocial, but if I were in Kusuo's place, I wouldn't be within a mile from these buffoons. Except for Kaido. Kaido, my beloved, can be a quarter-mile away max. Episodes depict 5 chapters from the manga, so, excluding intros, title cards, and outros, that's around 4 minutes per chapter, which is safe to say that this show is fast. I mean, artificially speeding up dialogue to save runtime fast. Even with the speed, some stories are split up into several chapters, most of which are my personal favorites in the series. The show's humor pretty much stems from how much of a walking stereotype most of the cast is, and how they're nothing alike from each other, but they play into this fact so hard that it just works. Not to mention how Kusuo's powers get him in and out of trouble, of course. Especially in the aforementioned longer stories. Kusuo's forced to go to absurd lengths to hide his powers, and by the end of it, I'm just left saying, how? Even with the overall absurdity, because of the lightning pace, it doesn't waste any time. It doesn't try to beat you over the head with how funny it is. Probably because it's moved on to the next gag. The animation too. To be honest, it gets the job done. It's nothing too spectacular, but I swear, sometimes there are certain points where the animators just give up and it's honestly better for it. So long as we don't turn it into a slideshow presentation, then we're fine. Something that I'm not sure gets enough credit for, so I'll mention it here, is the soundtrack. I can imagine some of you going about your day, or be honest with yourselves, staring into space right now, and this song will be playing. I know that's the case for me sometimes, not the staring into space part though. This is the song if you wanted to boil the show down to just one backing track. I did say that Kaido has his own theme song, but technically some of the other characters do, like Hiro and Kuboyasu, I think? It's just that Kaido's is more pronounced. Remember folks, comedy is when Judgment Knights of Thunder plays. Listening back to some of these now, I swear you could sneak some of these into some like late 90s CD-ROM game and no one would notice. One thing I'm not really a fan of is the conflict between the brothers. Yeah, Kusuo has an older brother, Kusuke, and he is a bit annoying, as in I somehow find that guy who talks quite fast somewhat more tolerable than him. Which one? I don't want to hear another word about how he beat you over this many times, or how he's the only guy who can beat you, or whatever, man. Okay, fine, I'll level with myself a little bit. What would a show like SpongeBob be without Plankton trying to steal the secret formula? There you go. Another thing I don't like, and it's honestly my fault, is Netflix. I made the mistake of watching this show on Netflix, and the subtitling is simply a travesty. All the extra tidbits on screen don't get a lick of English. They couldn't be bothered to translate the title cards. Talk about being lazy. Then again, I've heard they utterly botched the subtitling of this anime here, so it's nothing new for them. It's pretty much bread and butter at this point. I also haven't watched Reawakened yet, so tell me if it's worth watching or if I'm not missing out on much. Last thing, completely out of left field, here's what Saiki K looked like 3 years before the official anime. Yeah! The animation is obviously not up to standard, the pacing is slowed down significantly, as the scene with the snake is 3 to 4 times longer compared to what we get. The voice acting is different too. Kaido is now Lloyd Forger. Nendo is... Honestly, whoever voices Nendo, it doesn't matter. Nendo is just Nendo, there's no better way to put it. It's honestly quite interesting to see how the animators were testing the waters all the way back in 2013. But the one we eventually got is light years better, obviously. Those 3 years to bake really made the difference, huh? So, that's Saiki K. It's been finished for a long while now, but it's nice to actually see the whole show in its entirety after seeing the movie. I got nothing else for now. Goodbye.